491. That is the number of people who lost their jobs to AI every single day in the first half of 2025. Not to a recession, not to outsourcing. To AI, explicitly attributed to AI in corporate filings and layoff notices. 77,999 tech workers in 6 months. IBM eliminated 8,000 HR positions replaced by an AI system, now handling 11.5 million employee interactions annually. Microsoft laid off 6,000. Big Tech cut new graduate hiring by 25%. And these are only the announced numbers. The real figure, the roles quietly not backfilled, the junior positions that stopped being advertised, is significantly higher. But this episode is about something bigger than job losses. It is about a series of events that happened in the past 2 weeks that changes how every professional, every entrepreneur, every NGO worker, every person who uses AI tools in their daily life should think about whose infrastructure they are building their future on. Because the US government just blacklisted the most ethically principled AI company on Earth. And 2.5 million people responded by canceling ChatGPT. Let's get into it. Here is the full sequence of events, because the headlines compressed it in ways that lost the most important details. Anthropic, one of the world's leading AI safety companies, held a $200 million contract with the U.S. Department of Defense. As a condition of that contract, Anthropic sought specific written prohibitions. Its AI models would not be used for fully autonomous weapons systems or mass domestic surveillance of citizens. Not vague ethical preferences. Hard contractual walls. The Pentagon set a deadline, 5:01 p.m. on a Friday, for Anthropic to agree to unrestricted use of its technology under any lawful purpose. That phrase is the most important 3 words in this story. Because surveillance, autonomous targeting, and mass data collection can all be made lawful. Through executive order. Through emergency declaration. Through quiet legislative adjustment. Lawful is not the same as ethical. Anthropic drew that distinction precisely. The deadline passed without agreement. The Trump administration responded by directing all federal agencies to immediately cease use of Anthropic's technology. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth designated Anthropic a supply chain risk to national security, a label previously reserved for foreign adversaries like Huawei. A company that refused to enable unrestrained military AI was classified the same way as a Chinese state-linked technology firm. And then, within hours, OpenAI announced a partnership with the Pentagon for access to classified military networks. Here is the critical detail. Sam Altman stated publicly that OpenAI maintains ethical red lines and shares Anthropic's principles on surveillance and autonomous weapons. But contract analysts found that OpenAI used what they called elastic language. Instead of a hard prohibition on surveillance, the wording shifted to prohibiting use that causes direct physical harm. One linguistic adjustment. Surveillance causes no direct physical harm. Mass data collection causes no direct physical harm. Facial recognition databases cause no direct physical harm, until they do. The government got what it wanted. It just got it wrapped in language that sounds principled. The difference between these 2 companies is not their stated values. It is whether you encode your values into contractual obligations the government cannot quietly rewrite, or whether you wrap them in language flexible enough to mean whatever a lawyer needs it to mean. I will be direct here. I use Anthropic's Claude as a primary tool in my own work. I have spent nearly 3 decades in institutions where I have watched organizations say one thing under comfort and do another under pressure. Dario Amodei, Anthropic's CEO, wrote publicly, "We cannot in good conscience accede to the Pentagon's request." That phrase, in good conscience, is not marketing copy. In a sector where every major player is racing to capture government contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars, choosing principle over profit is genuinely rare. I find it admirable, and I think it is the correct direction for AI development. Not everyone will agree, but I am telling you where I stand. Here is what happened next, and this is the part that should interest everyone, not just the AI industry. The public responded with one of the most significant consumer tech boycotts in recent memory. A grassroots movement called QuitGPT spread across Reddit and Instagram. By early March 2026, over 2.5 million users had pledged to cancel their ChatGPT subscriptions. Many of them were not casual free users. QuitGPT participants included $20 per month plus subscribers and $200 per month pro subscribers, paying customers. OpenAI reportedly lost approximately 1.5 million active paid subscribers in the first week alone, potentially over $30 million in monthly recurring revenue. In a single day, ChatGPT mobile app uninstalls surged 295%, according to Sensor Tower market intelligence data. And where did those users go? Directly to Anthropic. Claude surged to the #1 position in the U.S. App Store. The first time in the product's history, and the first time an AI assistant had overtaken ChatGPT in App Store rankings. Claude's servers experienced what Anthropic described as unprecedented demand. Users were not just protesting. They were voting with their subscriptions. But the Pentagon deal was not the only reason users were already frustrated. ChatGPT's market share had already dropped from 87.2% to 68% in the 12 months prior, a significant erosion even before the boycott. Power users, particularly coders and daily productivity users, had been reporting declining quality for months. Sam Altman publicly admitted OpenAI had screwed up the writing quality in recent updates. Users were encountering more refusals, more hedging, more ethics disclaimers on legitimate professional queries. One developer community put it bluntly, "I asked for code and got a lecture." And then came the detail that tipped privacy-conscious users over the edge entirely. In the ongoing New York Times lawsuit against OpenAI, a federal judge issued a preservation order requiring ChatGPT conversations to be retained indefinitely, even when users pressed delete. The standard 30-day deletion policy was suspended for most users. Every conversation you believed you had deleted from ChatGPT's servers? Still there, preserved as potential legal evidence with no clear timeline for deletion. For anyone who had shared client strategies, business ideas, proprietary frameworks, or sensitive professional data inside ChatGPT, that was not a privacy policy footnote. That was a direct threat to their intellectual property. There was one more piece of context that the QuitGPT movement highlighted. Alongside the Pentagon deal, OpenAI had been actively lobbying against state-level AI regulation across the U.S. Critics argued this would consolidate federal control over AI implementation, giving the current administration far greater authority over how AI tools are deployed domestically. The combination of a military contract, a court preservation order on deleted conversations, and an active lobbying campaign against state oversight was too much for millions of users. Now let us step back from the specific drama and look at the broader pattern, because it matters for how you make decisions about your own AI tool stack. OpenAI was founded in 2015 as a nonprofit with a stated mission: ensure AI benefits all of humanity. It converted to a capped profit structure in 2019. In 2025, it completed a full commercial restructuring, removing the nonprofit's ability to block profit-driven decisions entirely. The mission statement survived. The governance structure designed to protect it did not. On intellectual property, OpenAI attracted significant criticism after accusing DeepSeek of training models by distilling its outputs, using OpenAI's responses to train a cheaper competitor. The broader tech community's response was sharp and immediate. OpenAI had itself trained on copyrighted books, news articles, and creative work without consent or compensation. The New York Times lawsuit, the Authors Guild case, and dozens of suits from publishers all allege exactly this. The accusation landed very differently from a company with that track record. The pattern across 4 years is consistent. Governance structures weakened under commercial pressure, safety principles encoded in language flexible enough to satisfy the next buyer, and intellectual property standards applied asymmetrically, aggressively to protect OpenAI's own outputs, loosely in relation to the work OpenAI consumed to build them. This is context, not a verdict, but it is context you deserve to have when deciding whose infrastructure your professional work lives on. Now the professional job market numbers, because these have not improved. January 2025, U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics recorded the lowest rate of professional services job openings since 2013, a 20% year-on-year drop. 40% of white-collar job seekers in 2024 failed to secure a single interview. Hiring for positions over $96,000 hit a decade low. IBM's CEO confirmed AI could replace approximately 7,800 positions. Microsoft confirmed 30% of company code is now AI written, with over 40% of recent layoffs targeting software engineers. Bloomberg projects AI could automate 53% of market research analyst tasks and 67% of sales representative tasks. Anthropic's own CEO projected nearly half of all entry-level white-collar jobs in tech, finance, law, and consulting could be eliminated within 5 years. And the number I want every professional watching this to sit with: 79% of employed women work in jobs at high risk of AI automation, compared to 58% of men. For anyone in development, gender equity, or financial literacy work, that number matters. The WEF Future of Jobs Report 2025 projected 92 million jobs displaced by 2030, with 170 million new roles created. A theoretical net gain. But those new roles are not in the same locations, do not require the same skills, and will not go to the same people. The displacement is structural. The transition is not. So, the government blacklisted the ethical AI and hired the compliant one. 2.5 million users voted with their subscriptions. The professional job market is restructuring faster than most institutions will admit. What do you actually do about it? That is part 2, practical, specific, and including something no one else is covering in the AI alternatives conversation. A full guide to the ethical AI tools you can actually use right now, ranked by use case, privacy, and values alignment. Each new episode dropping decodes one more layer of this shift. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you in part 2.